Welcome to what might be a talk amongst myself. That's okay, because going live just to talk things through saves me then uploading it later. But I'll wait a moment. There might be no one. There might be. This probably isn't a very good time of day. But we'll see. What did I want to discuss? Well, hey, hi Dee, how are you? What time is it where you are, Dee? It's coming on, I don't know, maybe coming on 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. It's a thoroughly grey sky, it's so dingy, and yeah, it's just maybe a good time for a chat. Almost 3 a.m. Oh my goodness, lady. Are you an insomniac? I don't know where to look, sorry, I'll get used to it. It's hot as balls. Yeah, I know. And even just a cotton sheet isn't enough, right? Sometimes there's nothing to do but to get up when it's really hot, because we get really humid here. And the best thing sometimes to do is just go out walking and things like that. Insomnia, yeah. I have really bad insomnia at times. And do you find you're your own worst enemy? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know that you could, I know I could do more to help myself get rest, drift off. You know, I could make a dark room. I could definitely stop looking at my phone or watching movies or whatever early. All of those sorts of things that help, right? And then you know what you're doing is wrong. And the worst thing to do that I do, Dee, is you know, when that circadian rhythm does kick in, you think you're going to go to sleep, you don't let yourself drop off because then you might be thinking, well, I just want to finish reading this or doing this. Yeah, it's the worst. And then you don't get back. Anywho, I've got, I put these in the hashtags. Anyone that was, I don't know if that's going to focus, but anyone that's been watching Humanimal channel for a while knows when I got these mugs. So first I got this one. It's reading backwards. Fuck this shit. Yeah, and then I got this one. I don't do small talk. Yeah. So I have a fizzy watery beverage and a sort of more medicinal one that I thought, well, maybe someone can have one with me as well. So now, Dee, I know you are heavily invested in Delphi, as am I, and there's a lot going on with Delphi at the moment, and it's not, you know, it's not coming from Delphi, it's not coming from law enforcement, but there's so much going on. It's coming from creators, right? So I'll just make this quick distinction, okay? There are people that maybe even, look, I don't want to tar anybody with my brush, so to speak, but there's people, there are people that are more like myself that come on when they've got something to say, when the muse hits them, you know. And I don't know if we are called creators. I call myself a viewer that makes videos, and there's people maybe like Randy that's kind of a video viewer that makes videos. He talks about things he knows of, he responds to things that he wants to, and I kind of do the same. I'm not a creator, so I've been kind of off air for a little while. Karina McLaren, D. At the same time as being very devastated because now they know, right? It is an end to one road to misery, right? Because they can start sort of processing things, because it stops that particular type of hell. I hope you can hear me, by the way, Dee, because I'm just sitting back, because every time, if you've ever made a video or anything, every time you sit a certain distance, you get distorted, and I mean, it already distorts, but and it's a certain type of hell to be knowing, look, this isn't good, something really bad has happened, and to have to always, no, I've got to keep that flame of hope, and no, we just that's hell in itself, I think. So at least she knows, right? Oh, thanks. So, but most of the noise comes from creators, and then people that upload videos like myself. Well, we respond sometimes, right? And I'm really not happy with what I'm wearing, Dee. It just looks very funny. I might go and I might get changed. And just say someone asked me, and like Graz did, he said, well, what do you think, right? I mean, there's several things that I think, but I've had to really pick one main one, but there's several things that come in very closely under my idea of what really happened, etc., right, with regards to Abby and Libby's case for the Delphi murders. And what did I want to say with this? Let me gather my thoughts, Dee. Sorry. I want to try and not be distracted and try and speak as if I were trying to record a video, so that I can actually make something that might sound coherent and not be really slow and disjointed. So okay, one thing that I want to mention is when you go into comment sections, right, what you're seeing a lot of at the moment, what we see a lot of at the moment. Hi, Can't Crime Curious, how are you? Where are your little feet there and your little heart? Hi. Sorry, I'm making a really bad start to this Crime Curious because this is spur of the moment. Well, half an hour ago, and I thought, look, I'll come on, and no one will come on anyway. I don't know, so I'll just start talking, and now I'm not doing a very good job. But I do have something I want to try and get across, or at least discuss and have some feedback on and see what people think about it. Okay, so I'll try and get on with it. All the little emojis that we can choose, and there's that one that is these goggly eyes, the side eye. That sort of, take notice of that, yeah, right, sort of, the sarcastic, the side eye sort of thing. And it's used a lot in comment sections, right, when people are trying to tell each other that they are, yeah, I'm on board and you're on the right track and all that sort of thing, right? So we're having a little infestation of side eyes at the moment, right? In a certain clique, or click, if you will, on YouTube, the village of the damned, really, and it's always enjoyable. No, it's just the eyes, Dee. If you find that and want to put that on, that would be wonderful. I think it's below all the little smiley faces, and it's just it's just white eyes. It's eyeballs. Chrome Curious has it. Those eyeballs, right? So these eyeballs, they could basically be a flag. They could be a flag. I mean, it should be a flag telling people to run, but these are basically, oh, Dee, those are very nice eyeballs, but not those ones. Look above. They should nearly be put on a flag. They should be the village of the damned flag, because they basically, at the moment, they're like a gang insignia. They're like a bandana in a certain color. They're like a secret handshake, right? It's saying, I'm in your club. It's just something. you've got them. Hop. My eyes, I can't quite see. Is that happy, hoppy, hoppy's got them too. Let's be hoppy, because that's cute. Happy's cute too. My favorite tattoo artist, favorite artist that's tattooed me, is his actual birth name is Happy. Yeah. You should want to be tattooed by someone called Happy, and maybe not someone called Death to Bitches or something like that, right? Well, those eyes, Dee, they're cropping up everywhere, aren't they? They're cropping up everywhere, mainly around a girl that, hey, as I try to explain to people, I've never changed my opinion. I try to understand her. But as I've tried to explain to people, I'm not going to start making harassing videos about Kelsey German and accusing her of murder. Even though I can't, I would need to meet her in person. There's, she's not my people kind of thing. I don't know if this is cultural, generational, educational, I don't know what it is, right? But it's mainly around that certain village of the damned, that crowd. And look out for those eyeballs, because they tell you who's in the club. And you might be surprised. So what I was going to talk about. I think I titled this, I don't know. Joe. Sorry, what does that say? Joe needs to speak. Yes. Oh, yeah. Very likely. Yeah, exactly, Dee. Kelsey makes people uneasy, right? Emotionally intelligent people, intelligent people, gentle people, cynical people, open-hearted people, all sorts of people, right? She makes people uncomfortable. I mean, it's as if they think that because they're willing to run with that they are right and everything, right? It's a very bizarre phenomenon that happens. Let me think. Sorry, this is going to be really crappy, okay? You're going to have to let me just sit here sometimes quietly and pull myself together, because it's different to just sitting down recording and knowing what I want to say. And I want feedback as I go, so. That's right, Dee. It doesn't make her a murderer, Hey, she might be, but there's, we... This is what I wanted to talk about. Limitations. People understanding their limitations, people being true about their motivations. And they do overanalyze her, Jimbo. Can you imagine being scrutinized like that? I mean, I have been, because I put myself, quote unquote, out there, and that it gets some holy terror rained down on you quite often, right? Just for existing. And limitations and motivations, okay? Unfortunately, what we have, and this is on all sides, it's not just the village of the damned. Does anyone understand what I mean when I'm talking about the village of the damned? So village of the damned is something, and again, birds of a feather, okay? And never be surprised who tells you exactly who they are and what they believe and who they align with. Birds of a feather flock together. Got my birds of a feather here. Got all my feathers. Yeah, she was 16. She was already from a broken home. Goodness knows what else she'd been through. Yeah, it's not excuses. Maybe I just don't like her personality. Maybe I just have a different communication style. Maybe I'm just so on such different poles to her culturally, everything, right? It might be why. But this does not give someone those feelings don't give people free rein to do what they're doing to Kelsey. Just, you can hold it in the back of your mind. Just keep something there. But the problem is, right, that that what YouTube and various platforms, especially YouTube though, has created is this. It's kind of this FOMO, right? It's FOMO, this fear of. I have to say this. They nearly get. Okay, I'm not talking as cohesively as I'd like to because I'm doing this live and not talking through the chat. Now I've got so many things I want to talk about with regards to this. So it's actually nearly like psychosis, what these creators get, okay? So they see this, they feel uncomfortable, they don't like what they're seeing, they don't understand what they're seeing, and instead of just sitting on it, because that would be prudent, they either don't understand their limitations, they have awful motives, they're not being true about their motives, or they have this type of psychosis or this ego-driven need to, let's just put this out there anyway. It's poor, they get overcome by poor judgment because, and they vomit. They spew, as we would say in Australia and New Zealand. They just spew their niggles out into the world. But they don't just do it in like a, what do you guys, let's talk this through sort of thing. They create and contrive, this whole world around it, and they spew it out, and they manipulate others into being dragged along, and they infect people with their meme of Kelsey done it or whatever, right? And people get so sorry, I'm yelling again. I'm trying to talk more softly. People get so involved with them and so drawn along, like pulled along the slipstream, they don't stop and take their own breath and say, is this healthy for me? Is this right? Is this righteous? Is this correct? And there's a lot of things that people are talking about that, oh, thanks, Crime Curious, and yeah, thank you just even for popping in. And yes, at what time? It's probably very early or late where you are too. Yeah, there's a big race, newest, and it doesn't even have to be correct though, right? It's just put something out that's new, grabs a headline, right? They don't care how damaging it is because all that is important to them is that what if they're right, because something's making, is something truly just making their heart pound about it? Is it calculated? Whatever it is, they think it's a calculated risk. They just have to do it now, and then they're hooked. They're kind of hooked. But I think it's kind of nearly like a psychosis that they can't let go and then rationalize, and they can't take some distance from and think, is there another way for me to process this before I actually go down this route, right? To be very authoritative. I mean, he's actually a cockwomble. He doesn't. It's not a language barrier thing. It's not an accent thing. It's a mind thing with little Zhao Zhou, isn't it? Yeah. So, not only is there the village of the damned, but, there's the village of the gold dang. Gold dang. They're just trying so hard and they don't recognize their limitations. So they might have true motivation of solving a crime, bringing peace, bringing justice. There might be a little bit of ego in there. But because they don't recognize their limitations, they don't actually understand their limitations, they're out there damaging things, and they're damaging other creators because they're dragging people along in their slipstream. We have this information that we have. Number one, they think if a source is good, if other creators are reporting on it, they don't think that other people might have it wrong or that they're being fed bullshit by the same source. And then they publish it, and yet all this while they're trying to tell creators that we're being so cautious and careful, we only want to put out the truth. They just don't understand their limitations. Be someone who discusses your thoughts and feelings and ideas and what you discover about it. But don't come from the angle of being this, we are investigating, we have skills. It confuses people because certain people can't see through people. I made a video probably 2 or 3 months ago now where I was because I was getting really upset with how people were, they start making appearances on people's shows and they're putting out complete garbage, but they're saying it like they really believe it. They think they've got sources and things like this, and that what they're doing, that they are bringing people down that are trusting and maybe, that look up to other people in a certain way, right? Because anyway, I don't know why I wanted to ramble on about this. I just wanted to stop in and say hello. Look, I mean, it was Eye of Apophis that actually brought that up. So James Renner did all the 360 interviews. Oh, yeah. Calling her a little psychopath. I mean, she very much, Kelsey might be, but he's not qualified to say that or make any call on that, right? So why would you make video after video calling Kelsey a psychopath when you're just some Joe Blow, right? You're just this little weasel with a very mediocre mind. And so with the James Renner videos, so he captured some really interesting things, and so famously he was interviewing I don't know, was she 17 or something? A 17-year-old Kelsey German in her place of work, the green background sitting in a booth. And where she brings up the shack and then giggles. And then he interviewed Abigail Williams' mom, Anna, and that was out on a lawn, I think, and he did the 360 interview with Becky Patty showing Liberty German's room. And indeed, yes, they from some of the very anyway, sorry, I'll get on with that in a minute. He did the 360 interview, and Becky Patty, she takes a blanket out of a plastic bag, right, that Libby made for her teacher. It was like a quilt. And then what she's doing is she's trying to pull the duvet or the blanket back into this plastic bag, and she sort of pulls the book off the bed like that and sort of picks it up and looks at it. And, it's Promise Not to Tell. Kelsey at one point, Kelsey should just stop talking. Honestly, though, I mean, I can see why she's not an advocate. She wouldn't be a very good victims advocate. That might be mean. It's not mean. I don't care. She's not the right. She doesn't have it. She's not right. She's not there. Give her 10 years. She needs a dozen years to marinate and to grow up. She'd be a terrible victims advocate now. She inserts herself too much. She doesn't come across as stable, and yet people will hate me for saying that. I'm not throwing hate at her. I'm observing a girl. This is what I think. This is why she makes me uncomfortable. She shouldn't be trying to work for, not for profits or anything. Being an advocate, she's not ready, and she needs to accept that. Get on with married life for a little bit, maybe, and hopefully, maybe after an arrest or something. Anywho, so Becky does appear to slide this book off. Kelsey says that it was for school reading. It's not a school book, as far as I am aware. It wasn't on the curriculum, although we know teachers do funny things, right? Hate, not help. D, yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest about what I see as a woman, a person of my own life experience, etc. I'm not just doing it for the fun of it. I know it's awful to say. I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to fake support someone. I'm not going to actively pursue anything. And that's what I know what my limitations are. I'm not thinking I can solve the Delphi murders. I have not a chance in hell of solving the Delphi murders, like 99% of people making videos, even the ones that people think, hallelujah, oh, he's on it, they've teamed up. No. Be very, very wary. Don't give your trust away. Don't give your adoration away. Don't give your belief away. Don't give your faith away easily. Because I can tell you now, there's a lot of there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in Delphi, okay? I'll just tell you that. So, and again, that's why I put motive in the title of this really strange talk. So it was James Renner that captured that, and then Ivor Pothis, who, again, you think, well, this is good. Yes, she's very immature, Dee. She's very immature, and Ivor Pothis, you think, oh, now this will be interesting. This is another one. You think, oh, this will be interesting. Let's see what they come up with. And of course, things start to spiral or tornado however you like to look at it. And then after that, maybe, because I'd been watching Apophis for those 2 or 3 months that they'd been on, clearly so had Joe, and a lot of these creators, these Village of the Damned, they are riffing off things that even I say, I have Apophis, etc. But, little Zhao Zhou likes to claim it as his own, right? And I, Zhou Lewis has, because of me, because of my training, my intellect, my, amazingness, he says, I saw this, right? But it had already been published on YouTube, questioned. And yes, in our little corner, how we are all flung together into these tribes, kind of by the YouTube overlords, and he's seen that, and then he's taken it on as his own. Well, who knows what to make of it. In the painting is interesting, right? And I mean the purple of the walls versus the grey. There are videos that we see easily of Libby and Abby together where, well, part of the wall isn't finished. But maybe, maybe they just finished off that little bit because it was a nice thing to do, right? They just didn't leave it and then put the paintings back up. Because there's, who knows, right? I don't know what the story is with the purple paint, but it's not like the room was not painted purple at all when Libby was alive, and then maybe something happened and let's cover it up with paint. Yeah, maybe law enforcement should go to Libby's room and scrape the walls and see if there's blood. No. They could. They should. Maybe they should, just to shut down the Village of the Damned on one more front. But we've been told, now, okay, maybe it's a lie, maybe it's just a misdirection again by law enforcement. We've been told the girls were murdered where they were found, okay? But look at the little tribe that they are all on board with these girls. They died another day, or earlier in the day they were dumped. So which is it? Libby, to them, Kelsey is running around killing the girls in the woods, or what, killing the mouseware, but she did go there, and then was she at Chase's? Wasn't she? Was she with the girls on the bridge or not? They can't make up their mind. They think they're so clear, concise, logical, but they're throwing around all these ideas that contradict themselves all the time. And the idea though being that these girls were killed, the kind of people, but still that come up with this sort of kerfuffle is they say, well, Kelsey's caught in the lie because, we've got a lot of cop misspeak. One of them is a parent dropped them off, right? Oh, Libby didn't. She's had to live this lie the whole time. She dropped them off at the, she didn't drop them off. She's had to stick with this the whole time, saying she did. So if Derek wasn't confirmed as being elsewhere and could have been then at the bridge dropping them off, you don't think law enforcement would know? You don't, I don't know. I mean, I wish they'd just be more direct, particular. Here I am. This is a bit of a joke, really, isn't it? Because I'm not talking very clearly. Because I don't really have the thoughts collected in my mind for what I wanted to say, like I would if I just recorded this and uploaded it. But there are so many instances where things are so obtuse. Even that Holes fella, what's his first name? The guy that he pursued the Golden State Killer and the angle of DNA analysis and finding, going to common ancestor sort of, and then working forward to find people that might be in the right age group, etc. Even some things that he was saying at CrimeCon, you wish that, was it the HLN lady, Barbara or whatever, you wish she just said, can you just clarify that, because that could have been taken two ways, Anywho, anything that anyone wants to talk about? So I think, just the point that I wanted to make, I guess, and it's just a very brief point I really need to say, was I personally feel like there's many people that don't understand their limitations and their motives are either good or bad, right? And that, or a confused mix of both, but they don't understand their limitations. They're not working to them. They don't know when they maybe should just sit on something and show some what is it, yeah, I mean some caution, not really caution, isn't really what I wanted to say, but so D. Ashley, the director and 10 other people under the bridge, the pics are fake, etc., etc., so annoying. Yeah. Jimbo, I think everyone who's followed this case, some might get 98 questions right and make 2 mistakes. What, the questions that they get wrong are so important. Look, what I think, I can't decide. I don't know how anyone can decide, because there's so much strange information, there's so much secrecy. But I can tell you from other cases that I follow, if you get involved in some other things that you have a bit of distance to, for example, I've just started looking into a case of, it comes out of New Zealand, out of a little town called Paeroa. It's in the North Island of New Zealand, and it happened 10 years ago. So it's a cold case, well, maybe not cold, but it's essentially a cold case. It's a cold case where a 55-year-old male who was born in Greece but has lived in New Zealand for a long time, he was shot behind his pizza shop early one morning, a winter's morning, June 2012. And, if you choose a case, for example, and look back and start examining it and do some research and things, you will see the things, like listen to testimonies and things, and you'll start recognizing some glaring, disgusting leaps that people are making in Delphi that they shouldn't have. If you correlate it to, say, a cold case, find something with distance, maybe another country, look at it and say, oh, if this were Delphi, I can see that person, Vivian, is this. And then what she's saying, that is so unfounded, so ridiculous, it's just gossip. Oh, now I can see the 20 creators making 200 hours of video on that. And now they have affected the thoughts and beliefs of other people. But I can see clearly that is bonkers, right? And you will even find proof that's just not true, or something that says that is incorrect, right? But you got to get that distance. I think the police should just back their ideas up, Jimbo, honestly. Look, the clients definitely have to be prime suspects or people in a network in their city. If other people are accessing that account and Anthony Shots, if there was any interaction between Libby or Abby or even Kelsey with some sort of catfishing awful account, maybe someone else has just seen that and it's not the clients that have gone but someone else. Okay, that's a possibility. Another possibility is completely random, because this is why things are so hard to solve. And so what do the cops have to work with? They've got to try and find this physical evidence, and they're trying to work with data and things, and it's very difficult. And if it's local, it's probably, Yeah, he's a bit more savvy. I mean, I don't think even people are saying, oh, he'll start singing. I don't even know if he'll start singing, Jimbo, even if they, during the court case, they're trying to get him for more than, what he's up for now. I mean, if they try to pressurize him to give something up, I don't know that he would, because maybe he can realize that as long as he keeps stumm, nothing's going to happen. If one goes down, they all go down. But again, he knows that he's in for a rocky road, and he's not going to have a fun time in prison. I mean, we can all take pleasure from that, I guess, a strange sort of pleasure. But look, he knows what he likes. He's been doing it for a long time. Even though he's young, he's got a lot of experience, and he's an abused person that has probably zero empathy, although he can make close attachments, and he's probably got some sort of really weird feelings for his father, this split of being loyal and hating him, needing him, etc. And I don't think necessarily he's going to talk. So anyone that's here that chooses to speak, because I think there's only a couple of people speaking now, but with what we know about the crime scene, what do you think about the people that are creating basically whole cliques, whole channels, whole villages around the idea that the girls were killed another time, another place, that they were dumped there, at the site on Ron Logan's land? What do you guys think about that? Yeah, I mean, they've got limited resources, haven't they, Dee? They don't have unlimited resources to be running stings and operations to bring down, a huge amount of assholes in Indiana. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Indiana, they're making arrests. Definitely gone on the back burner. Sometimes I think, it's utterly cold. And I don't know when, I think a year ago I was thinking it's cold. I don't think it is a cold case, because they've still got leads, but they just could be dead ends. This is the thing, right? With any crime, there can be people that they're caught up somehow, they've done bad things, they're connected in certain ways, it still doesn't make them the murderer or the rapist or whatever. And that can really be the case in the Abby and Libby's murder case, because there can be people directly associated with both of them, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with the actual murders. You know what? The Bureaucracy. What the fuck is wrong with people in Carroll County in Indiana? You've got these shtups, these fat, useless, money-grubbing parasites that no one goes in and just go and sit on your council meetings. Why are you letting them just sit there, mark things off, without question? What, because we don't rock the boat, we're just here to facilitate. What the fuck is wrong with people? You know what? Why are people all around the world more concerned about the corruption, the way things are run in Carroll County and in Indiana than people of Carroll County? If they don't care, fuck them, right? They need to start showing up. They need to start taking, not an interest, but more than that. They need to be active. They need to activate themselves, get off their tractors, get off out of their boots, just go and sit there. If you're a person in Indiana with a child in school, go and sit in council. There's not a lot of money in places like Carroll County where you've only got 20,000 people and wealth might be distributed. You think about, the world's wealth. Well, it's the same in Carroll County. 1% have it. So if you're worried about the fact that they can't afford their own emergency services line, and, the firefighters are only volunteers, so they're not going to be around when some little girls burn to the ground, well, start going to your council meetings. Now, people have been complaining now, sure, right? It is weird. Is it Josh, and who's the other one? D? Who's the other owner of the Flora house that burned down and killed Kiara, Kiralee, and Keone? Because, sure, right? Okay, there's only 5,000 reward. Well, guess what? It's normal for police, for investigative organizations to put awards up for 1 year. For 1 year. And then that's it. Because if people are just going to come, they need to just come up, speak, and otherwise that's it, right? I was just telling you about the case that I've been looking at down in the Coromandel, Hauraki Plains of New Zealand. Jordan Voudouris was murdered. Well, there was an award, a reward that was put out for 50,000 K. It lasted a year, right? Otherwise, well, it's taken away. It's not forever. It might be a little bit different when funds are, raised in the community. Well, you need to look at who's managing that and who is administrating that, right? And no, it shouldn't be just any Tom, Dick, and Harry. And if you're not going to be happy with it, going then toward the fire department or something, well, don't give to that one. Make a statement about it and start something else where it is open-ended and it doesn't get absorbed into some other thing, right? But it's not, I don't know, I mean, it's not unusual anyway for rewards not to last, okay? It's not practice all over the world that things are just available forever. But yeah, it might depend where they're from, right? Who's raised it and who set it up, who's administrating it. Well, you need to look into things first. It's don't just make bitchy videos about it later. Am I making sense? Probably not. This is so random. I just wanted to come on and have a chat. Yeah, the 18,000. I think there was 5,000 and 18,000. Now, dear, yeah, sure, okay, go to the family. This is Galen Rose, right? Galen Rose. Well, okay, you know, why is Delphi talked about? Well, people, this is because the family get out there. They put themselves out there. They go to CrimeCon. They talk about it. Galen Rose is down in Florida. Yeah, now maybe she doesn't feel comfortable in KKK Indiana because let's face it, we all know racism is rife in Indiana. We need to be able to say this. We need to be able to talk about it. They've tried resurgences. People still have these ideas. It's a cultural thing. You know, it's like, you know, father-son kind of thing, an attitude thing. It exists in Indiana. So yeah, maybe she didn't feel comfortable, but you know, if she wants to have as much focus as Delphi, she needs to do what Becky Patty, Mike Patty, Kelsey German are doing. You know, it's because of them that, you know, we all know about it. Okay, so it's due to them. So people that are trolling the family, they don't seem to understand that the recognition worldwide that Delphi Murders has, it's because of the family. It's because of the work that they've done, whether whether we appreciate it or not. I mean, you know, Becky just comes across as a hot mess. Mike is twitchy. We all know this. And but they're just people, right? They weren't people that were raised in showbiz and bred to be polished and with theatre training. And, they didn't have media and communications degrees, right? They're just people that were living out their lives in Indiana, cobbling together a family, and trying to make themselves better. And they were struck by the most, just demon lightning, weren't they? And that's that. Yes, Drew Yoder arrived, and people are going to say, well, he shouldn't have gone in, and he was told to wait, and now, and it's a conspiracy. Drew and Josh now. Josh, who's strangely heroic through all those fires. Now, yeah, he does seem to be on duty rather a lot. But they did it as a distraction, did they, Jimbo? They did it as a distraction so that Galen Rose didn't get, so that the kiddies didn't get out. Is that what you're saying? You're believing the village of the damned, are you? Yeah, there's a shitload of corruption, Jimbo. What they are is a county with 20,000 people. They don't have a lot of money. And what money they do have isn't being managed very well because they've got these fat, useless pen pushers that have put their hands up for the position or their family, and there's nepotism or whatever, and they just, no one else is pushing to do it. And then what happens is people are trying to bring down the young guns that are trying to come in and actually do something. People like Shane Evans. Oh, but he's the bridge guy, is he? No, he's just someone that's just trying to have some ambition in life, maybe. So it's up to Carroll County citizens, okay? They need to turn up to the council meetings. These council meetings, who have we got? Have we got Debbie there filming it and that's it? Well, thank fuck for her. But unfortunately, she doesn't know it, but she's feeding the troll carp in the murky pond, the moat around the village of the dam, right? Because, she's giving them fodder. But we all do need to know it. But it's like, how are you processing it? What are you going to do with this information? Well, Indiana needs to do something with this information. There's a huge problem with apathy, right? So while their little amount of fun, while the limited funds that they have for services, for infrastructure is going around down the toilet, they're doing nothing about it because no one is at these meetings other than these few counsellors who are just phoning it the fuck in, or doing what they know is right to do. Oh, don't just do it. He's asking for this. Did he do this? Who cares? I don't know. Don't want to get involved in that one. I've got a nice little spot here. It's really nice to go around town and hi, yes, counsellor here. How are you? Oh, yeah. Oh, we're working very hard. No, you're fucking not. Right? So, I've got to go and get a chicken. Do you guys want to just sit here? Because I've got a chicken I have to bring inside the house. I mean a live one. Hold on. Reggie, darling. Reggie. Come on, darling. Come on, baby. Good girl. Are you? Was it a bit rainy? Because you're waiting at the step and I was talking. Inside, darling. Inside. You don't want to go in your igloo? I mean, you don't have to. There you go. You don't have to. Yeah, it's good though. It's nice in there. Snuggly. Yeah, what's time? It's only 5 o'clock. You're early. That's why. Because it's raining. Yeah, it's raining. You want to come in? Yeah. Good girl. No, now your little butt's out, but that's alright. We'll fix you up later. Is anyone still here? Just had to put my chicken inside. Yeah. She was at the door, like, I want to come in. It's getting miserable. Anywho. I mean, I think D kind of, does get where I'm coming from with this, where, D, it's that concept, isn't it, of having these, opposing thoughts or, these things in your mind all the time. You don't need to pick one and then just completely dive in and that's all, everything then has to be worked around a particular concept. And it's all right to have all these different views and thoughts and feelings. You don't need to just pick something and be so black and white, because we are all little 50 shades of grey. But because YouTube has created this environment where people feel like they have to go hard or go home, they have to make a splash, they have to be seen to be so, smart, brilliant, groundbreaking, imaginative, inventive, investigative. And they're just not these things. They're not, because they don't understand a filter. And this is why I play devil's advocate so much. Yeah, really cool name. There have been fires, right? And in this really small area around Flora, Carroll County, around these few counties, in the last few years, there's been some very bizarre blazes. I mean, this is true. And it's terrifying. But why is it up to, world citizens, so to speak? There needs to be some sort of grassroots activism in Indiana. We seem to have, these factions of the clueless and apathetic, the ones that are possibly morally corrupt, ethically corrupt, people that, don't really understand the dynamics, and people that feel maybe not disenfranchised as such, but maybe they don't understand that if they take part actively in things, they could be a catalyst for change, and I think a lot of apathy can come from feeling like, well, you're just this one little person, there's no one else like you, and maybe there's nothing you can do, and it must be all right if everyone's just going along with it. Maybe I'm just paranoid, or I'm just, I don't really understand, or maybe I'll just move away or whatever. But the trouble is, you see, that, it's because you're just not all linked. You don't realize that there is 56% of people feel exactly like you do, because you can't talk openly. You're not allowed to have these discussions. And when you're seeing people in the school line to pick up children, or at the grocery store, in your business, when you're talking about other things, you're not talking about corruption in Carroll County, or do you think your councillors are doing any good? People don't talk about it. Oh, it's, don't talk about sex, religion, politics, right? It's always my first date topics. I'll cover all three. Yeah. Galen Rose is, she's up against it, right? She's from Indiana. She's lost all her children. She left town. She didn't stay to fight. But how could you stay, right? I mean, it'd be natural to want to move away, and particularly because race is an issue, no matter what anyone says. But I feel like, come on, 4 girls, your whole family, what is your life? Your life isn't worth moving on with unless you try to do something for those girls, right? So how do you judge that? Because until you're in kind of the same position, you don't know what you would do. I don't know why she moved away. I don't know why she isn't going on Dr. Phil. I don't know why she isn't going on podcasts. I don't know why Galen Rose hasn't called, who? Let's just say Gray Hughes and, the HLN network. Why isn't she saying, I offer you up? Why allow it to fester in people's minds that, she's not cooperating because she's not saying who had access, So what does it say though, right? She got out. Why didn't she die? Why didn't she burn with her kids? Some might say, right? Yeah, Yeah, Dee, that's a really good documentary, isn't it? That Greeno made about flora fires. He brings up some really good points, and people need to realize that, of course, Robert Ives has involvement. He's mates with Dennis Randall. So whatever we think about Robert Ives in terms of, sometimes we think, has he been the only person that's been willing to try to communicate on a certain level with people about Delphi? He posted info about Jew Yoda that wasn't factual. Isn't it funny how people hold someone like Greeno, who they like to abuse, up to the standard of an investigative journalist who should have the most pure motives, and yet they will go and listen to utter hateful, pathetic tripe and hang on the every word of the Village of the Damned. Yeah. Instead of just, yeah, it could be an appliance problem, and we know, wasn't it Josh that has an appliance, he was like, was he truly a salesperson for Maytag? I don't know. I mean, doesn't that just sound like garbage? But he probably was. And owns some home improvement stores. Yeah, I mean, there's actually, see, it's just like Delphi, I think. The Florifier is just like Delphi, that, you could really make 3 very good cases. It could be any of them. So why just choose one? Why not instead fight for the people of Indiana, of Carroll County, etc., to be represented by people of integrity, with transparency, but they need to do this themselves. God damn it, right? What can, it's like people are saying, we need to get this out there to all the YouTubers. Fuck what? Sorry. Look, get the local channels onto it. If local channels won't touch it, if people won't talk about it in their community, does putting it on YouTube really make a tangible difference? Yeah, because 911, right? Okay, so 911 in these small places, imagine you've got 20,000 people. They're not all gainfully employed or plugged into the system. Maybe they're not all paying rates, who knows? But it leaves very little resources for services, for infrastructure. So, you can't, if you've got 20,000 people, you think you're going to have more than some schools and some businesses. You're not going to have hospitals. You're not going to, there might not even be a psychiatrist in your county. There might, because why would people with things to offer that are worth money be somewhere where they're not going to make money, right? So where's the incentive? So who's going to build a hospital? So who's going to build a community hall, And so there's very little infrastructure, there's little money, so they farm these things out, right? So yeah, you could be several counties away from where your operator is when you call 911. It goes through all the exchanges, or you're redirected, and there you are. And so, and this is the thing with the Florifier too, right? Okay, what do you guys think about this? It's a volunteer fire service. It's a volunteer fire service. They're not professionals. They're not paid there to be manning it 24/7. There's not like a fire chief and 3 blokes sleeping on bunk beds in the station, just like you see in, like, your favorite fire station drama on TV, right? They're not there. Who was before you bitch about it, who was manning the station, right? So was someone in the fire station a block and a half away from the Flora house? Or did they have to be woken up or, taken off their sports training 2 counties away, woken up from sleeping, pulled away from watching a movie, somehow found while they're out on a date? Were they drinking in a bar and drunk? Who was, registered to be on duty and to respond, and what are their obligations as volunteers? Like, what are the, what is their, what's the quality operations manual or whatever saying about, okay, we respond this. These people are on call. They're not sitting around the fire station. Maybe they were further away than 10 miles. Okay, so Yoda got there first. Now he's not a police. He's not he wasn't part of that fire service, but maybe he panicked, right? This is a young guy. Sure, he's experienced and all sorts of work. This is a young person. What can you say you would do? Would you... No, I've got to go in. I know 4 children are up there. But what people are trying to tell you now is him and Josh Dissner and everybody, they all... it was planned to the degree where now you run in, bit of smoke inhalation, we'll drag you out. Josh will go in and get you. You'll both need attention. So any first aid that arrives, it's all going to be on you. If everyone's forgotten about the 4 burning girls, this plan is fucking brilliant. You guys are going to be you guys are good. You're good. You're good. You're going to be able to do this. Okay, I know you can. Just make it look real. I mean, it will be real because you're going to be running into this building and we're going to tell you not to, Drew, but you're going to be 30 years old and holy shit, thinking of maybe children in your family that if this was them, right? You're going to feel like it's unforgivable if you don't act now, because you can see this timber structure is going up. The smoke, it's so black, it's so dark. There are kids up there suffering, and you might be told to wait, but 30 seconds, you might get through there. 30 seconds, you might get through. You might get up there and even save one little girl, People don't always follow orders. Do you? I mean, do you always follow orders? Or are you perfect at your job? This is the other thing too, right? We've got all these X this, X that. Oh, so they're just the holy fucking grail of information, right? Fuck no. Okay? Is everybody great, wonderful, the apex in every single job that they've ever done in their life? No. We all sometimes have jobs that we're fucking not made for, not very good at. We don't really have the skill set, the emotional thing, the right type of intelligence or training. Sometimes we fucking fail. Not everyone is good. And whether they've had a long career or they went in, they got out, doesn't make them an expert, doesn't make them good, because maybe they fucking sucked. Maybe you take advice from someone that fucking sucked. Maybe they were good intentioned, right? And maybe they are telling you some really good things. Like, maybe they are talking you through something, saying, look at what this is telling us. This is clearly, a pattern. Okay, great. Take that for what it is. That's good. That makes sense. I can run that through a few programs in my head and think that makes sense. That's really interesting. I'm going to look into that, or I'm going to take that on board and apply it here. What happens? So, wouldn't you be more... I mean, now people are casting this, crazy light on Drew Yoder as much as Josh Dissner. Josh Dissner, I've made videos before that other people now, first they diss me, first they bitch about me, then they troll me. AASB wants to, he's saying he wants to make, cartoons about human centipede. Yeah, the human centipede, yeah. He's filth. So, oh, Layla, yes. 100%, right? Look, power to them, because as I was saying before, I don't know if you're here or not, but because of them speaking up, going on different forums, fronting up as hard as it's been, that's why Delphi Murders has 325,000K reward, and why Flora has 18. Galen Rose has moved to Florida, and she doesn't say anything. She's stum, right? So because of what she's trying to deal with and process, completely different. But maybe other people are just trying anyway, even though they're not saying it well. But yeah, I mean, everybody should have an attorney. And I don't just say that because I love family members that are attorneys, but they needed somebody to trust, and I'm not sure that they've really been guided very well. But they're doing their best. They're doing what they are capable of doing. They are doing what they are doing as the family of a victim, of a heinous double homicide. They can't do more or less than that. It's just how it's turned out. It's just what's happened. And that's that. But yeah, Kelsey was a minor to a few extents of the law, and she shouldn't have been she shouldn't have been doing the interviews that she did. But this reflects on other things that I've said about the family. Becky Petty is not a good caregiver. It's not her role. She'd raised her children badly. Derek, spawn of Becky, she's still enabling him. Her life is focused around, well, what will Derek do? Where will he live? How will he support himself? What will we do for work? Keep him busy, right? Her world revolves around him. She took on the responsibility of young girls when she had so much unfinished business with her own children. So she's wishy-washy and not up to it, right? So Libby was looking for her mother. She wanted to be with her own mother. And who was watching her? Who was monitoring her? Becky was just checked the fuck out. Oh, well, if other girls are doing Musica and doing this and that, it must be all right. That's my excuse, because I don't have the headspace or the inclination to look any further. Maybe the world's changing. I don't know. I mean, one son, you can't really blame someone for their child being a meth addict, but did she fail at monitoring that as well? And what, I don't know, right? So she clearly was unable to continue the level of support that Kelsey needed. In fact, she's just a hot mess, and Mike has tried to step up, but no one has stopped Kelsey. And now, because Kelsey's wanted to advocate, quote unquote, for Libby, etc., and she's taken that on board because her dipshit father won't speak up, right? It's just all a clusterfuck. It's a hot mess. And who is adulting here, right? But can we say that, do you know what you would do? I don't know how I would advocate for someone close to me if I needed to, right? What would happen? How would I direct my energy and my capabilities? Would this crumble? Would I be really just freaking good at it? Or would I create a whole a whole would I be responsible for creating a village of the damned because of the fodder I so-called, I gave them, right? Because I'm just would be terrible at it and a poor communicator, or not using, you know, what resources are there wisely or correctly. Yeah. We just got regular people that were just, failing at some things, achieving at others, just trying to make their world keep going round. And yeah, she did, Dee. Yeah, she did. I don't know if it's a very good one. I don't think it is, actually. I think Kelsey needs to just check out. But she said, look, I'm going to commit to, at one point I think she said, look, I'll commit to the next 5 years of advocacy, or, and then I'll feel like after that I'll move on without as much guilt and everything. And I think, as a young person trying to move on with life, and do it, I think more people should support Carrie and try and activate Carrie and Anna as the mothers in ways. I don't know, who knows what. Okay, so what is Galen Rose doing, right? Who does she speak to? What's she done? Trying to sue people and find, some sort of justice that way, sort of thing. Find someone to blame, right? Well, law enforcement needs to fucking find someone to blame so she knows who to sue, right? How useless are they? I mean, this is the sickness in Indiana, is that when heinous crime occurs, oh gee, we could just throw shotgun pellets into the lake. Where do they hit? They're just all going to hit a viable guilty party, a viable theory. And so, of course, it's just Indiana is the perfect little cesspool hotbed for conspiracy theories. And sadly, no one else can clean it up other than the people that are living there. They need to do this themselves and say, well, we don't accept this, and we're going to start paying attention and being involved, and that's it. It's just my opinion. Let me check that this chicken little bottom is sticking out of your little wiggly. Yeah. So, that's my 2 cents worth, isn't it, on Delphi? But, one of the points that I was making, just to recap a little bit, was that if you put a focus onto, just find a new something somewhere, maybe somewhere that means something to you, like maybe you've got French ancestry. Look at a cold case or a case, but preferably an unsolved case. Just look and start looking into it as, just like you started looking into Delphi, and just see what happens with your filter of things, when you're reviewing information and listening to interviews and reading articles and looking at, trying to sort fact from chaff, right? And just feel the things that arise and process them and really sit on them and be honest about, okay, could I reflect this somehow onto Delphi and see what my thought processes are doing, that it's different here. Why am I doing something else with Delphi, right? There's something about certain cases that Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she probably just needs somewhere to be, maybe it'll be a first marriage of many. Gee, I don't know. He's just, I didn't like his vibe at all. I didn't like Caleb's vibe at all. But he's a very confident young Christian man, isn't he? Who he's going to you know maybe that's what Kelsey needs right now, someone that has a lot of self-confidence and cocksuredness to just direct her a little bit, right? But the two things that I didn't like, and they're the same thing really, was it's like, are you a little star fucker? Because he, we know that Gray Hughes already gave Kelsey equipment to podcast. She uses it. He must know this. I mean, we know he's, probably seen her use it. I don't know. But he got one little compliment from someone, and maybe in chat or maybe from Gray, about, oh, we'd love to hear you talk more. And he's like, oh, if Gray just sends me the equipment, yeah, I'll do it. And then, he's saying later, I mean, he clearly doesn't really know enough, though. He doesn't know that, I mean, does he think Gray is in a TV studio or something, like in some glamorous city, and that you need to be there to be interviewed, or, because at one point he's saying to Gray, oh, well, just fly us out. Yeah, give us the plane tickets. We'll come out, he was hedging for it. Yeah, equipment, but also, the plane tickets to go out there and be there, just pay for that, pay for this. I mean, he thinks he's hooked up with a celebrity. But I hope he settles Kelsey down. I hope she's happy. I hope she finds a little bit of peace and a bit of some sort of emotional sanctuary, because I think different feather up there for a while. I think that she needs some time out. Not that anyone for a case should rest, but it's not her job. She's felt like this because of how dysfunctional and useless her family are. And I'm not really saying Carrie is such, because I think, God damn it, Carrie wants this solved. She is so desperate to get it solved that she has become vulnerable to early on to psychic, this mediumship lady that's just latched on. Well, and that's true love. To, people in desperation, in their need to know that their little girl is, that there's something for them, that they weren't obliterated, right? They're very vulnerable, and that's Carrie. Becky, I think, is just, tormented with her uselessness, because she has just she's been the peat. She's been the peat moss. She's been the fertilizer. She's the common denominator to a lot of shit. And it's very, and no doubt she is suffering and grieving, but, yeah, she was not doing an okay job. But what are the options, right? We think, what are the options? Because, I feel, number one, that Derek shouldn't have been there. If you lose custody of your child, don't live under the same roof. You are not now domestic. And that would have allowed Becky, Patty, some space to mother Kelsey and Libby, right? But maybe pay attention a bit more to what they're doing, rather than these young girls have to solicit attention online. Maybe from other teenagers, but from also people that they don't even know, and to make themselves vulnerable. But Becky Patty is so distracted, and I think this should be some sort of Libby's law, right? Hashtag Libby's law, where if you are, it does, family, parent, anything. I mean, when you foster a child, you're not supposed to have contact with the biological parents. Now, there are streams of, there are ways where that's facilitated, where it's supervised and both parties are there. But you're not supposed to be on the phone behind the scenes and making arrangements that go against what's been put down by the letter of the law. Like, oh, that's all right though, yeah, because it's convenient for me. They can take the child to the movies. It's their father. No, you're fostering. Like you have that child in your care for a reason, because the biological parents have to go through a process. If they would just take the steps, right? They will take the steps to show that they can parent their child again. They will get the child back. But until then, don't. So how did it happen that Becky Patty, the mother of Derek German, how is he living under? He doesn't have custody. He should by law not be there. Okay, so how much of Becky's space in her head and in her house and everything was taken up by that drop kick, who, yes, sure, has lost his daughter, but he shouldn't have been there. And this should be a law. This should be Libby's law, Libby and Abby's law, however you want, Libby's law. Because, we've got Tylee's law with Laurie Cox, who exhibited, the revolting behaviour that some parents do when they are giving the finger to ex-partners and alienating their children against those usually loving partners. When they move state, move country with their children, making it really fucking difficult for authorities to track what should be happening, and for, the alienated parent to even keep up with contact, whilst also bleeding them dry of money. So why the fuck, Derek German, and why are you still there? Fuck off. You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You're useless. What are you doing, Derek German? Carrie Timmons is trying. She might not be trying how Kelsey likes it, but Kelsey, suck it up, bitch. Sorry, because your mother loved Libby and loves her to this day, and she might not be doing it the way you want, but what is your father doing? Okay? Why? Who has alienated you so much against your mother? I mean, that is a wound, right? This is the thing. When I'm saying this in a vernacular that doesn't sound very kind, because I'm not, just riffing here. But if I were to speak to, woman to woman, to Kelsey, I'd say, look, I understand this wound. Okay, this wound. Well, the same way that mothers only get one chance, daughters have one chance at a mother. No one. We came out of the womb, and Hymn to Her, the song by Chrissy Hind. It's a beautiful song. Listen to that song. A wound, a mother-daughter wound, it's one of the most it's the deepest, bloodiest, most wretched wound. And this is the wound that Kelsey Seibold is sorry, I can't remember, Seibert or whatever, is Kelsey German carries, right? So, because Libby, toddler, maybe 3, when eventually, you're going to Becky Patty's. So Kelsey was 5, and at a time when she has truly learned separation. She's learned, this starts when you're a toddler, that separation. You're learning that you're a different entity, right? By 5 years old, just when she's supposed to be sort of pushing boundaries and making new connections, maybe at a primary school, making trying to make friends and things like that. It's she's now under grandma's roof and feeling like maybe, does she think, or was she told? I mean, Derek German's there, right? What is this? Mummy, I'm here. Mummy, did Kelsey know from 5 years old? Did she think Daddy was bringing her up and Mummy had dumped her? We don't know if it's Derek German alone that lost, why did they lose custody? Was it violence in the home between Derek and Carrie? So children are suffering vicarious trauma. This is abuse. This is domestic abuse. They're called victims of when they are even in the household when other people are warring. Was it that? We assume it's his job, but then why is he allowed in the home? He shouldn't have been. And so we've got Kelsey, a little bit more awareness than a 3-year-old who's barely out of being a toddler and who is a little bit more maybe accepting of the new status quo. And you've got Kelsey thinking maybe Daddy's growing me up. Daddy's still here. What sort of parental alienation has driven Kelsey's hatred and discard of her mother? She's thinking Carrie's done the discard. Maybe Carrie's thought, well, if she's going to Becky, I can't be with Derek. And, maybe because Derek was, Carrie's had to go 200 miles away because he has to get away from that fucker because he's toxic. He's toxic. Becky has toxic family ties, or there's so many, it becomes really tricky, doesn't it? Because you make all these generalizations as if people can't have decent home lives and make Sam just because you've got a nice house and they're doing sports and we don't know that Becky wasn't raging all the time and distracted and grumpy. Was she this doting, could she be a mother, or was she just this doting grandmother that, because she wasn't paying attention and she's dealing with her own son, who's older, Tara or Derek, who was getting that, that firstborn attention? I mean, it seems they both were. They're both working for Mummy, and Derek's living at home. He shouldn't be in that home. 100%. It should be illegal. If you have custody of young minors and your drug addict son has not got custody, why the fuck is he under your roof with those children? Oh, they say, oh, Derek did anything. He's so dope. Oh, he'd drop anything. He was always there for them. He's not supposed to be. He's not supposed to be there for them. He's supposed to be proving to the judicial system, to our human value meter of society, that he's a decent human being, and that he can have some responsibility. So he didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to heal anything. He could. What sort of thing was he bringing into the household? What sort of drama revolved around Derek? But meanwhile, Kelsey's seeing all this help and concern going towards Derek. Is it flavouring how she thinks? And Carrie is outcast 200 miles away. Libby, is it true? Libby used to run away. She once ran away to Carrie 200 miles away. She wanted to be with her mother, but she was being alienated from her mother and from what she really felt like she needed, nurturing and attention. And so who's to blame her? We've seen her as an 11-year-old in the way that she communicates through a screen, in a way that is inviting attention. She wanted it. And is it any question why? It's very wrong. So, but it's not YouTubers with 1 million subscribers and 10 million views a month. It's not YouTubers with 20,000 views and whatever, subscribers. That it's not our job. It's people if of the same way that I'm active in my community for things that I care about. It's up to Carroll County and it's up to Indiana. We can have our voice and try and just have an opinion, have discussion, but we don't really know. And depending on who you are and your view of yourself and how you think you, compute, YouTubers can make themselves extremely vulnerable as victims themselves, victims of Machiavellian people or just meddlers or hateful people or just people that just they have no clue, right? Because of ego and they think they're going to help and they really have no idea. And just stop it. If that part of YouTube stopped and you just started with the discourse, the discussion, right? What's wrong with just giving your opinion and discussing and hey, did you know about this little bit of information? Let's talk about that. Rather than hold on a minute, let me get my editing cap on. I'm gonna make this. This is gonna be. I'm Oliver fucking Stone. Okay. It's in the trees. Lights, music. Delphi. We're two girls. We're killed by their families because they're just so creepy. Yeah. And only I, and the rest of the village of the dead, the ones with the editing suites on their Apple Macs, they're the only ones. They sleeped it. They done it. Right? Stop watching those people. Unless you want to hate watch, because that's okay. Is it? I don't know. Sorry, I'm just being really ridiculous now because, I feel so... certain of some things, I guess, and I'm trying to say, oh, please don't be certain about certain things. Have some, use your discretion and be very cautious, but I feel certain of something. Derek German should not be in that household. Well, Kelsey's gone now, but he shouldn't have been there while minor children that he wasn't allowed to parent. He should not have been there. How did that play into, the whole family unit there? No matter what they were trying to achieve, operate businesses and live a good life and create something and maybe pull out of being unlawful and everything and try and heal and raise some good kids. Yeah, sure, they were into sports and Libby was going to do well academically and, Chelsea was always going to get married and life goes on. But not thinking about that 24/7 that Kelsey and Libby were brought up in for over a decade, culminating in little Libby German and her friend Abigail Williams being just so vulnerable and obliterated off the earth. They should be here. And of course, and these are people, they've made all these bad decisions up until this time. So, of course, they are going to not maybe do the best job, but at least they are trying to do something. And, who cares? I mean, as I've said before, I wasn't a freak, and I was a freak for a while, and I'm not a freak. I don't care for Gray, but I don't want to... I'm not going to make videos about him. But, sadly, in a way, I mean, he's there platforming Kelsey. And it doesn't matter if he is a supporter, a rock, an advocate for her. Maybe it wasn't the right thing, And I noticed, I think Gray, I think he wants I mean, he's abusing now his relationship with this person because he knows he was going to make a show after that, and he knows that video is going to be made about her, and he was really pushing for some things too. I think Gray was asking for himself. I really do. I think Gray's asking for himself about the sweatshirts. Sorry, by the way, I can't actually see chat most of the time what you're saying, but I know Dee is here talking with everyone. Layla, I think I've seen. I don't know what you're all saying. Flashes up on my screen and then it's gone. I'm sorry. But I'm not a creator. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a consumer. I'm who makes videos. What's that? He knows what side. Yeah, he knows where his bed's spreaded. I wonder what a wrong, PB Kiwi, hi. A wrong is any action that causes harm to another sentient being. People will say, oh, I didn't know. Oh, it wasn't intentional. Well, we need to be more in control of what we're doing just in case, really. It doesn't mean that you can't question things. I mean, yeah, I don't want to be sounding like I'm a hypocrite. I mean, I'm completely aware that I say inflammatory things all the time. But I'm just trying to say, we need to look, sometimes you do need to look at all angles so that you can decide where you fit, where you sit. It helps bring clarity. But you must be very careful. These are real people. I think people seem to be so unwilling to put themselves into the position of people that are hurting. And where the fuck do they get off? I mean, the entitlement to do certain things is just this is our new normal, is narcissism, right? I mean, true narcissism is very specific, but these narcissistic traits that people have, and this lack of empathy that people have, and the modus operandi, I should say, when they are justifying it to their minions and everything, it's really fucked up. This is our new normal now. This is apparently acceptable. It's a very, very murky, painful, confusing world, and I think we just have to we have to have guts in a way to to not be afraid. You don't have to join in. What do you think you're missing out on? Take a bit more time. To work out where your alliances are. Guess what? They don't, what do we say here? Humanimals, I say anyway, I'm independent. I'm aligned with nobody. I have allegiance with no one. I reserve the right to decide or to think something and say something and whatever at any given time. It could be anything. Because it's organic here, life is flux, and my thoughts and feelings are in flux about things, because how could I possibly be certain about various things? I feel certain about things sometimes, and I've overstepped my own safety mark of caution at times, and that possible feeling when you do bad, you feel bad, right? Don't you feel uncomfortable and awkward when you've kind of gone out of bounds and you should have really stopped for a little bit because something you've done might be hurtful, and so it's not a good feeling. So you've got to have some sense of I don't know, of it is a real world, right? You might be there creatively making videos and editing them beautifully, and there's a soundtrack, and production by, I mean, what a fucking toss. But sure, do that though. Some people do that very well. Why not? And it's entertaining, but and that's what you want to do. But be very careful about then your content. Just because you think you might be slightly anonymous, all you have is your reputation and what you're doing to others, and you have to live with it at the end of the day. Well, okay, maybe if you're a psychopath, you don't care, but you don't want it to affect you negatively. And this is things that you might say in the comments section, and lives. Yeah, subjective morality. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a fact of the universe, right? We are all the center of the universe. It's just we're in an infinite universe. If it's infinite time and space, we are dead center, right? So of course, everything is filtered through what has to be this, self. The selfishness, but our own worldview and everything, it's all we can do. So we need to maybe just try a little harder to, you don't have to have experience. I mean, isn't it easier though, right? It's easier to, have empathy and things when you've experienced something, because then it's like until you've dived into ice water, you don't know how truly cold it is, right? Or if you haven't experienced something, and particularly with harsh emotional experience, getting a divorce, losing a child, being fired from a job, or breaking a leg, whatever it is, right? Unless you've had it happen to you, someone says something really cruel to you that was, until, or like if you're so frustrated, why is she always locking her keys in the car? Back in the day when you did that, right? I know most people maybe have other ways of opening cars these days, but in the day where you had to get a coat hanger or whatever, right? Or why are you always locking yourself out of the house? Or why this? Then they do it, and suddenly, actually, maybe it's a bit harsh because I did it. I'm not perfect. These little things. And until you've done something, right? But wow, do you really want to wait until you've lost your daughter before you just try to have a little bit of reserve when it comes to how you treat them, the family of, Yeah. Anyway, wow, I thought I'll just come on and chat for half an hour. So we're up to minute 53. Shall we just have 7 minutes of, it can be silence. Hopefully I can, I won't try and have a look at all the comments. It's a bit tricky. If I was using StreamYard or anything like that, I could, I don't know, I could probably make D a mod or something, but I don't think I get that option when I click. I don't know. I'm just using my phone, and one day I'll use StreamYard, and maybe I'll be able to, because I'd love to do some reaction videos where I play something and I'm commenting and real, commenting as we play things. I've often wanted to do that about various things, and then I have to try and sort of make a reaction later. And Layla says, right, Humanimal, Derek should not have been living under the same roof as the daughter he was legally terminated to raise. Yeah, I mean, because it just created what a really bizarre situation, a powder keg situation. I mean, that I think it's insanity. I don't know how that was happening and why it's legal. Is it legal, right? I mean, is there some way, can we look at what the letter of the law was? Like, how do we find that paperwork where, you know, Becky Patty's been awarded custody? And what does it say? And what does it say about Derek? Was he out for a short time and then, slinked back in because, came out of prison or something, right? And, how has this affected the girls? I think, how did this affect Kelsey, maybe in regards to how she thinks about Carrie, in regards to her, her working to alienate Libby from Carrie, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we don't know. We don't know who was more or less able to show. I mean, see, Derek was given that opportunity to just be a good guy, drops him off to school or whatever. So you shouldn't be there. You should be making arrangements. That should be done. And then when you have just shown that you are reliable, that you turn up, that you do things, that you are going through drug rehabilitation, that you're not breaking the law, that you've done some parenting classes, and you get more and more. And then maybe you could get your children back and they should go and live with you and you should be 24/7. He was never going to be that though, right? That's what those kids were growing up under. It's like a recipe for something to happen. Them to run away, like Kaylee, who's missing now. There's the Georgia case. I'm sorry, I can't remember her last name right now. Kaylee with a K. It's not her birth name. Melissa maybe is her birth name. And she was in Carroll County, funnily enough, in Georgia, and there's a big sting going on there at the moment that people are saying, wow, maybe this is something to do with her, because a week after she went missing, and it was found that she was communicating as a 15-year-old, she's communicating online with adults. She would run away, she would just jump in the car. She jumped in a car, the first car that came along. Luckily, it was an older lady. I say that she might have been 51 like me, but who then rang the police. And she was with this woman for 4 hours. That could have been anybody. Just looking for attention. And this was what Libby was doing. Looking for attention. And I don't believe any hype. I believe, dysfunction is dysfunctional in its own unique way in every household, because as they say, happy families are all the same, right? Dysfunctional families are not. And we could go, but they were trying their best, it was all good and they felt safe and they're doing sports and it was at least some semblance of normal life. Was it? I don't think so. What they privy to, what did they hear, and how did they all talk about each other? You know what I'm saying. Anyway, what are we on now? 1:57. We've got 1:57:58. We've got 2 minutes. Anyone got a question at all? Probably not. Thank you everyone that did turn up. I appreciate it. I appreciate that I've got 10 thumbs. That's very nice. This will be so bizarre for people to listen to, won't it? Because this has been weird, I know. But thank you for being here. Thanks, Dee and Layla and Jim Bob and people. I'm sorry that I really cool name, PB Kiwi. Anyone who's contributed, because that's what the live chat's for too. For people to come on and see who the community, who might be like-minded or not, chat amongst yourselves, right? And it's an opportunity to talk in a space that is being made open for you, and that's what I'm trying to do for Humanimals, right? A lot of my watchers aren't subscribed, but that's all right. I've never asked for one single subscriber, but I'm very, very grateful for every single one that has and has supported me over the years. And people are welcome to come and go as they like, but sometimes it's hard because I don't get a lot of comments, maybe because I am so, I don't know, divisive. But then they'll talk up and say, well, why are you bringing this drama to me? It's like, well, I don't know who you are because you're not often telling me, and so I don't know who I'm talking to. So I do this for myself. I'm not saying I'm going to offer anything in particular. It is what it is. Okay, take it or leave it. Anyway, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. And I know you would. I'd have you in a flash day to call in. So when I saw that, oh, thanks, PB. Kiwi says he's up. Thanks, mate. Come on, Dee's making pancakes. Yeah. We can make some off jokes, that's right. Let's make burgers. Let's make burgers instead. What are your favorite burgers? I like a good classic, just beef mince, probably. Yeah, lots of cheese, a nice toasted bun. So, yeah, thank you, because I do appreciate it. This is a very strange, rocky journey sometimes here, because, I don't know what I'm doing. I go through emotional lows. I'm sometimes distant, sometimes very tapped in. It's just whatever comes, right? Because I can't keep saying enough. I'm a viewer. He just happens to get on here and talk, and that's all it is. Because, oh, that would have been, I even broke my don't talk in his chat. D, that would have been really sweet. That's probably some way that we can get to have a chat. It's in someone else's chat, right? Yeah, I mean, the one I've gone on most would be with Tiff, Zav Girl, Sometimes I'll be walking my dog and she'll have her live where it's a call in, and I'll just sit down and call in. Graz, obviously. Monkey Ma, because PI Jim Terry, I needed to give him the finger, and I did. J Omen 112 made a video about that because he slowed it down and caught it. Yeah. Yeah. I will sort it out one day, but then I might actually be a YouTuber, and then I might have to be a content creator, and then I might actually have to create content whether I'm feeling the muse or not, and that is a difficult thing, You'd have to talk to Graz. Yeah. Relationships on here are funny, aren't they? They can ebb and flow. It's good to never really, I don't know. It's good to stay open, but I think a lot of people aren't wary enough. They're not wary enough about who their heroes are. I don't think they understand what these people are actually not doing or doing, what their real feelings are, capabilities are, motives are. I think we just, yeah. What happened with me and Graz, and he did talk about this the other night, what happened with me and Graz, I threw him into the trash because what happened was I didn't realize, but he had emailed me when he first appeared. He was making some Summer Wells videos, and I knew that there were people like, Maureen Walsh, etc., that were always going to be in the lives, and he didn't like Humanimal because they just have all these false beliefs about me and what I think about Barry Morphew, and etc., right? And because I spoke up about certain shit, particularly what people are doing to the daughters, maybe an enemy number one, right? So I'd made this little private, video on here on YouTube. You can all use your YouTube channels to make video, and then just make them a linked one so that you can just make them available to only people that you let view. So I did that, and I spoke to Graz and said, hi, blah, 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 and, and just explained that, I wasn't going to be taking much involvement in things because, it's just going to bring a whole lot of shit, a whole lot of bullshit, because these people are so immature that they will they don't care how they are flavoring, controlling, changing, infesting, putrefying someone's chat and channel. They can't just see someone's name and just, disconnect from that and let them just have relationships outside. Oh, they just have to come in and throw their shit, and they don't care if they're true, right or not. If they don't like you, well, no one else is going to like you. They're gonna tell all about it, whether it's just bullshit or not. Anyway, so later, much later, I didn't realize, but when Graz wanted to make, a video against Grey Hughes, I didn't realize he's emailing people. It was because I used an email that I don't, it was for something else, right? But I didn't see the emails until after, but he had been asking people, hey, but he sent it in a big email that didn't BC people. It gave everyone's email and saying, oh, can you just give me a sound bite, something, a quote, anything against Grey Hughes, making this video. It's like, later, I'm like, well, what the fuck do you think I'm getting involved? Do you, boo? If you want to make a video against Grey Hughes, why the fuck are you, sorry, Grey, we're right now, but this is at the time, and I still believe this, I still feel the same way about it, but I can let it go. But I didn't think that was cool, right? That wasn't kosher with me. That's not how I operate. If I've got something to say, I'm not going to run around trying to get people, to do it and make sound bites and make this big video of all these people who think it's Grey Hughes. I just found that pathetic. But, I didn't know that I'd been asked, and, I've got 2 hours to go. Can you do it? I didn't know, though, that this was being asked. But the trouble was, it wasn't just one to me and then one to someone else. BCC, so that no one saw your emails. Everybody saw my email. And then they all think, and it just created this bullshit. And to this day, I don't know who's got that email. I get some disgusting emails, right? And it made me feel unsafe, frightened. It was awful because, well, that's really uncool, man. Sorry, Graz, but this is the story. That's really uncool. I didn't know. I don't give a fuck if you didn't know, right? You endangered me. You have given me grief. You've not only, and you've made people think that I somehow am complicit in this, that I felt that way. It's like, you speak for yourself, and that's what everyone should do. You speak for yourself, right? So not only did he drag me into this, make it look like I'm part of this, like, pissy little thing. Anyway, so this was like a year ago or something, and it's just, okay, yeah, he made a mistake, but it's mistakes in those terms and on this platform with private details, they have real life repercussions, okay? So, so that was that, right? So for a year, and he said, so he thinks I'm a disgusting person because I was shooting these emails back saying, this is awful, this is terrible, do you not realize what you've done, right? So then, anyway, I was just trying to stand up for myself and have people understand it, and and it's and I still haven't had it's kind of an apology. It just, time has to heal it, because an apology won't, because no matter if you see, this is the thing again, right? No matter what in life, it doesn't matter if you don't know. Sometimes ignorance isn't an excuse or bliss. It's certainly not bliss for someone that's on the end of your ignorance, and it's hard, even if you didn't mean it. We need to be more conscious, especially when dealing with what we're dealing with here on this platform, right? So, because real people in real danger, with real, and it has real impact on their lives. So this being this viewer that uploads, and because of some of the stances that I've taken and things I've been involved with, this has impacted. It's been wonderful. I love being able to do this. I love it. It is generally amazing, and it's an honor in a way to be able to do it and actually have one person listen and engage. On the other hand, it's extremely dangerous, and you make yourself very vulnerable to all sorts of things, psychological abuse as well as real world danger. I have had, I'm not even going to go there. So, and Grace did put me in that danger. And also in a kind of reputation situation. So yeah, so it wasn't pleasant, and and that caused a rift. But I really, I don't have outside of that. The thing is, I can come. I don't just say okay, and you say he's trash. I just it's hard. You've got to get over these things, right? I had to get over that. I like how he does his show a lot of the times. He can do him. I'll either enjoy one show or I won't enjoy it. I'll watch it or I won't. I don't have to like everything someone does. You don't have to like everything I do. I would hope, though, that there is the decency there that just one thing that I might do or say, it doesn't, flip you on your lid, okay, and turn you into an enemy or a frenemy, right? Because that's very unfair. Sometimes you might just need to take time out and maybe come back, and that's what Nick Graziano and I have done, is that it's been a year and he's been through some shit and it's not nice, and human to human. It's like that first message that I sent him 2 years ago or whatever it was. I don't even know. That was human to human, okay? And human to human, I think, what's the point of holding on to that rift? What's done is done now. And yeah, I understand that he didn't really mean it. And yeah, he didn't really understand me either, to be inviting me to make this, do you want to come in on this, this let's go grey sort of thing. I mean, look, personally, Gray's time will come, actually. Either he's going to, something will go either way with Gray. It doesn't need to be pushed along. What will be, will be. Okay, Sarah. And on that note, D. I mean, D, do you understand the situation that he put me in? And, it was such a spur of the moment thing to go on because, because for me personally, I mean, that's a personal thing for me. I want to be able to let that go, and I want to be able to, if there's a way of dialogue, if there's someone there that I can have dialogue with about things that are important to me. And yeah, it's so bizarre. Humans are bizarre. Relationships are bizarre. Yeah, and I didn't, and it wasn't petty at the time, and it had real world effect on me, and it had emotional effect on me, and it pissed me off and all sorts of things, and it created shit with other people that didn't really understand what went on and assumed things about me. And he burned you once, D, yeah, and it is, and it's kind of a burn, and yeah, but I wanna let it go. I wanna see how Graz goes. I wanna see what he does with his content, and I have some compassion for him because I think he's someone that's trying to make something out of his life, and people, I've been given lots and lots of chances in life. I really have, and I think people deserve chances. And it's, if that's me personally, says, yeah, I mean, I just want to see what you're doing now moving forwards. And if he's interested in seeing what I do now moving forwards, and if sometimes we want to have a conversation, maybe something will come out of that conversation. So I'm more than happy to do it. And it's relationships are, whether they're these, when I say professional or whatever, that it's always a work in progress. And I'm happy to say goodbye to all that shit. It makes me function better, feel better. There's enough baggage. There's enough distance now where I can put that more into perspective and think, well, if the people certain people judge me for that, and okay, what danger have I been in? What level is it at now? Sort of thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling now, really and truly, aren't I? 2:14:42. So, do for sure understand he took advantage, but we all seem to learn the hard way. We said he was adopted due to the aftermath. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll close off now. I'm gonna probably make some dinner, maybe some chicken. Sorry, Reggie. Got a hen over there. Chicken and some salad, and I'm gonna have a cup of tea. And it's night time now, but I'm gonna probably walk my doggo as well as soon as we just get a little break in the rain. What did you saying there? He deserves all kind of chances. I don't disagree, but if he's trying to better his YouTube life, bashing everyone who disagrees with him might not be the way to go. Yeah, but I think he's had a learning curve too, right? And I think sometimes we need encouragement, support, guidance. We need comradeship. Oh, it's time for brekkie. What are you going to have for brekkie, T? Are you a eggs and bacon person? Hey, Lip! Yeah, you go to bed. Nothing to see here. It's all done and dusted, but thank you for saying hi. And it's just been this really chaotic, weird talk, okay? And some of it's not going to be popular either, but hopefully people with open minds and hearts are going to give me some attempt at understanding. Certain people will take some things the wrong way and out of context, as usual. Mike Patty's father committed suicide, right? And wouldn't that make him really want to be the man that is, never leave his family? And Mike Patty has been stepping the fuck up, right? Anyway, he's trying hard to be there. He's trying to be there for Becky and her. His current life is a bash on BB. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I think he's, that the evil triad. Sat on the village of the damned. Well, it's nice to see Lepsha. Thanks for coming in. I'm going now because I really need to go maybe use the little girl's room, and I need to get some dinner, and then I need to walk my dog. But thank you for spending some time with me, people. And I think it's X marks the spot. See ya.